Hey, you like that new intro I've been working on? Yeah, I thought you might. I saw you watching it. Yeah, well, I made it myself. This video is all about how you can become the ultimate defender in Rocket League. The best offense is a good defense, and that saying is true for Rocket League as well as anything. So, how do you become an amazing defender in all game modes in Rocket League? Well, shadow defense, alright? Spoiler. You might have watched some shadow defense videos in the past, but dude, I'm telling you, alright, I'm a coach over on Gamers Ready. I coach about 3 people a week, that's 12 people a month, and 10 out of those 12 people don't know how to shadow defend for shit. Alright, so this video is for you, my guy, because you clicked on it. You better follow these rules and you're gonna get amazing at shadow defense straight away. So let me break the video down for you. If you want to skip ahead, that's cool. First of all, we're going to be talking about what shadow defense is, and I'm going to explain it to you as if you're a complete noob at Rocket League, which you aren't. Then we're going to go over the 4 keys to a proper shadow defense. And then last but not least, we're going to be analyzing some of my shadow defense gameplay with different scenarios, different situations, so that you get a general idea of what shadow defense should look like. Make sure to pop a like and subscribe, and let's dive into the video. What is shadow defense in Rocket League? This is something that I ask every one of my students that I coach over on Gamers Ready. Most of them have a pretty good general idea of what it is, but they are rarely able to do it effectively. Shadow defense is the ultimate defensive technique in Rocket League. It's where you mirror your opponent heading back to net and challenging to regain the ball at the very last moment. Initially, when I started using shadow defense in Rocket League, I had no idea what I was doing. I knew that I should, mirror my opponent, but I had no idea where to place myself, how far away from the opponent to be, and I could rarely block the goal from happening. This made me feel real stupid in front of my teammates, and for sure it made me feel extra stupid in 1v1s where shadow defense is the most important. In order to shadow defend properly, you need to place yourself on the same side as your opponent. Now that you're on the same side of the field as your opponent, draw an imaginary line from the opponent to the near post. You always want to position yourself corner side of the shadow defense line. This makes sure that you have to defend only in one direction to save the net. If the opponent moves, however, the shadow defense line moves with him. If at any point you cross this line, you open up the opportunity for your opponent to score on both sides of the net. This is why it's crucial to stay corner side of the shadow defense line no matter where your opponent moves on the pitch. When you're shadowing in Rocket League, you want to mimic your opponent down to the minuscule movements that he makes. This includes speed. Not only do you want to turn left when your opponent turns left, but you also want to speed up when he speeds up so that you don't get flicked. Now let's say you started shadowing over in your opponent's corner. You have a lot of time before you reach the net, you guys are both going pretty slow, and you're doing a good job of staying corner side of the shadow defense line. However, he's starting to boost more. He's speeding up. This is where you want to speed up, add some distance between the two of you, because if your opponent is moving fast, the ball is moving fast, and if you're not moving fast, the ball is going to outspeed you when he takes his shot. If he slows down, you actually want to slow down even more and close the distance between the two of you, because the slower he's going, the smaller the range he has on getting a nasty, really speedy shot. It's that simple. Next, you gotta know when to push the ball into the corner. Try too early and you've given up your position. Try too late and he's probably already scored. What I found works best is to wait for your opponent to screw up. They might have a really smooth dribble going, but if they see you making shady moves in front of them, they're gonna think twice before flicking. As soon as you see the opportunity where they either drop the ball on the ground or flick too early, that's your opportunity to dive in for the ball. In this situation, try to push the ball over to the corner. This is why it's important to stay corner side, because if you're too much in front of the ball, you might just end up hitting the ball into your own net. Now, before we jump into some replay analysis of shadow defense, let's talk about fake challenges. A fake challenge is when you speed up and go for the ball, but at the last moment you turn away from the ball and head back towards your net. From your opponent's perspective, it looks like you're just straight up going for the ball, and this is where he might choose to flick the ball over you. You now have the opportunity to dink the ball into the corner. Fake challenges are a really good way of faking the opponent out and making them flick the ball early. It's also a great way of entering shadow defense. Let's say your opponent is way over on his side, and you just got demoed. This is where you gotta close the distance in order to shadow properly, and the way you wanna close this distance in some cases is by using a fake challenge. Close the distance quickly, go for a fake challenge. He might flick the ball, or he might call your fake challenge, in which case you just enter shadow defense as normal. By this time, you have a pretty good understanding of how shadow defense works. It takes some practice, and it also takes some real experience to learn how to do it perfectly. So, for the rest of the video, I'm going to analyze some of my shadow defense gameplay in Rocket League, and there's a whole ton of different situations, and you can see how I deal with those situations in just a moment. But before we do that, I would like you to take a moment to like and subscribe if you learned anything from this video. It really helps me out. Anyway, let's get to it. So here I notice he's going straight up the wall, right? Odds are he's gonna go for some sort of aerial play or something like that, right? I began my shadow defense way back there, and now I'm actually just rushing back to net as fast as I can because this is pretty unpredictable, right? So I need as much distance from me and to the ball as possible because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if he's gonna get a flipper set or whatever. So I'm just rushing for a near post rotation to see what he does. He gets that touch right there. This is where I turn in. The goalpost is right back here, and I'm just waiting for him to sort of mess up, get some sort of shot on target or something. And this is where I just keep my cool. I continue on this path, and the ball just drops straight to me. Okay, so for situation number one, we're just going to be talking about the line of shadow defense. All right, so when this guy is going back to net, there's a straight line from him to the back post. So my job is to get on the left side of this line, and that's what I do. I get an easy little save right there. Even though the ball was in the air, I was still shadowing pretty well because I created that distance for myself to be able to react to whatever he was going to do. So this happens a lot in my coaching sessions, and people don't really know what to do. A lot of my students, they go straight back to net in this type of situation, depending on whether or not they're going to beat him to the boost, right? But I'm in a good position. I think I can beat this guy to that boost, so let's see what happens. I'm using my speed flips. I just barely get the boost, and this is where I'm going to enter shadow defense. All right, I might get a touch on the ball. Actually, the ball was bouncing a little bit weird, but this is where I entered shadow defense. He's facing this way. I know that he's gonna probably turn around and go this way, right? So my job is gonna be to mimic that and pretty much do the same thing as he does. So here, as soon as he starts turning that way, that's when I start turning that way as well. See? Exactly the same situation. He goes for a flick. I go up on the backboard instinctively. That's just in case he gets a high ball or something. I have to be able to get there. And going up on the backboard, it allows you to get some height advantage off of the flick. So I get a nice little touch there. Let's move on to the next situation. Okay, so here, opponent has the ball in the corner, right? And as soon as I see him get a good touch on this ball, this is what I want you to focus on, right? As soon as I see this is where I'm like, nope. And I turn the same direction as he does to make sure that I enter into shadow defense as smoothly as possible. I'm just using all my boost up here because he's going so fast, right? And one of the rules for shadow defense is if the ball's going fast, you gotta go fast as well. And if the ball's going fast, you gotta create this distance between you and the ball. This isn't enough distance, right? So I'm getting that distance. Luckily, he wasn't able to do much, but I'm still staying in this shadow defense, and as soon as he does something, that's when I go for the ball. So nice little save there. I think this continues into some more defense because he's doing a good job of boost starving me here. So I'm just getting some of these low pads, and this is where we enter shadow defense yet again. I'm mirroring him pretty well, but there's still this distance right here. Of course, as you remember, one of the rules is if the ball's going slow, you gotta close this distance. And the way I'm gonna do that is actually by faking a challenge. This was a little bit of a risky fake because I'm low on boost, but let's watch that one more time. There's distance, I close the distance with a fake challenge, and that's where he panics, and I'm able to get some type of save here. Here it happens again. Okay, so we're on his side of the field. He gets a big touch there, and as soon as he gets that big touch, I want to get some sort of touch on it just to delay him, and this is where we start shadowing. So there's still this distance right here, so I'm going to go in for a fake challenge or something probably. I ended up not going in for a big enough fake challenge. I wasn't quite sure what he was going to do, right? But since he isn't turning right now, I'm pretty confident he's going to be going for this side of the net. So that's all I'm worrying about. I'm worrying about this general area. So he drops it here, right? And now I'm pretty confident that his only option is to speed flip into the ball and get it past me. So my job now is to cover this distance right here and make sure I get the ball somehow. Here we go again, more shadowing. I basically jumped into a 1v1 game and just did shadow defense for a while. Right? So he gets the ball. I do a little weird jump there for whatever reason, but I'm not cutting into the net and then turning and then just facing him straight off the bat, right? That's not a good idea, man, because he's just gonna flick it right over you, right? So what I do is, he's on the left side of the field, so I'm gonna pass this midpoint line and I'm gonna enter some type of shadow defense coming in here. So I get a little boost pad, I get another boost pad. I might have had time to go up on the backboard, I don't think so though. And I basically wanted to get to this ball as fast as possible, and that's what I do, get a little rebound shot. And I think this continues into even more shadow defense if we have a look here. Okay, interesting. Let's have a look at how I challenge this ball, right? I gotta cover this distance because it's 1v1s, you only gotta focus on one player, right? Cover that distance. I see him going for the ball. This is where I want to get out of the challenge and make sure that I'm still in a position where I can, reach the ball. He stays on the ground. I know I have the advantage. The ball's coming to me. That's when I go for it. If I waited even longer, he might have had a chance to get a shot on net, right? Okay, now this is key. I notice that he gets a pretty good shot on target. So instead of going for this boost, I'm entering shadow defense straight off the bat. My goal is to get maybe one boost pad or two, but really it's going to be to cover this distance between me and the near post. Because if I went for that boost, he would have scored. So yeah. And that's actually where I end up getting a little shot, even though I only have 10 boosts.